Hello, and welcome back to the COVID Long Haulers podcast, where we share real stories from people living with long COVID, what they faced, how they're coping, and surviving. Today, August 8th, is Severe ME Awareness Day. It honors those severely affected by myalgic encephalomyelitis and remembers those who have lost their lives to this disease. The date was chosen to honor the birthday of Sophia Mirza, a British artist who died from ME in 2005 after years of profound illness and medical neglect. Before we begin, I want to give a content warning. This episode contains discussions of medical neglect, violence, systemic failure, and death. And I know that these topics are incredibly heavy and difficult for many of us, so please be kind to yourself. You can always pause and come back at another time. And I also want to apologize in case my voice is a little shaky during this episode. Severe ME is an incredibly heartbreaking topic to talk about, which is why I think it is so important to discuss today. So, what is ME? Myalgic encephalomyelitis, which is often abbreviated to ME or ME/CFS, is a complex chronic multisystem disease that affects the nervous system, immune system, energy metabolism, and many other parts of the body. Although it is often still referred to as chronic fatigue syndrome, that name drastically understates the reality of this illness because ME is not just extreme fatigue or tiredness. The hallmark symptom is post-exertional malaise, or PEM. It is a worsening of symptoms following physical, cognitive, emotional, or sensory exertion that would not have caused a problem before illness. So for people with ME, something as simple as a short conversation, a shower, or sitting upright for too long can trigger a significant deterioration that lasts days, weeks, or even longer. PEM can also lead to a lasting worsening of their baseline level of functioning. And this is why overexertion can be so dangerous, and why approaches such as graded exercise therapy are incredibly harmful. Unlike other illnesses or deconditioning, which ME is often falsely compared to, where gradually increasing your activity level can improve function, pushing through symptoms or increasing activity beyond a person's energy limits can trigger PEM and result in a prolonged or even permanent decline in their health. ME is also characterized by a profound exhaustion that is not relieved by rest, cognitive dysfunction, or brain fog, orthostatic intolerance, unrefreshing sleep, debilitating pain, sensory hypersensitivities, and a wide range of other neurological, immune, and autonomic symptoms. Myalgic encephalomyelitis affects an estimated 17 to 24 million people worldwide. And because COVID-19 can trigger ME, that number has likely increased significantly since the start of the pandemic. But despite affecting millions of people, ME remains one of the most neglected diseases in medicine. Research has consistently shown that people living with ME experience one of the lowest health-related quality of life scores of any chronic illness, often lower than those reported by people living with multiple sclerosis, stroke, heart failure, or end-stage kidney disease. And yet, there is no diagnostic marker, no approved disease-modifying treatment, in fact, no approved treatments at all, and research funding has historically been disproportionately low compared to the disease's prevalence and burden. ME is an incredibly disabling chronic illness. It is generally divided into 4 levels of severity. People with mild ME experience around a 50% reduction of their pre-illness activity level, which for most other chronic illnesses would already be considered a severe disability. This is only considered mild in ME because of how severe the other severity levels become. People with moderate ME are mostly homebound and unable to work or attend school consistently. Those with severe ME are mostly bedbound and require significant assistance with their daily activities. And those with very severe ME are completely bedbound, dependent on others for even the most basic aspects of survival. Symptoms, of course, can fluctuate, and many people don't fit neatly into a single box. There have been several attempts to create more meaningful severity scales. The one I find the most useful personally was created by a very severe patient and advocate, Whitney Defoe, and you can find a link to that in the show notes. As today is Severe ME Awareness Day, I want to focus on those living with severe and very severe ME. About 25% of people with ME are severe. And that means that an estimated 4 to 6 million people worldwide are severe. For context, that is about twice the amount of those living with multiple sclerosis globally. Severe ME is the widest category on the ME severity scale and can range from patients who are largely bedbound but can still get around their homes safely to people who are 100% bedbound, tube-fed, and rely on 24/7 nursing care. It is a large umbrella term for all forms of severe ME and includes very severe and extremely severe ME. Many with severe ME are confined to their beds, unable to tolerate light, sound, touch, or movement. Some cannot speak for more than a few moments at a time, whilst others communicate only through whispers, text, or with the help of caregivers. Some are unable to eat and rely on feeding tubes for nutrition, and many with the most severe forms of ME spend years confined to a bed in a dark, silent room, unable to tolerate visitors, conversation, or even the sound of a loved one's voice. And perhaps the most heartbreaking of all, many people with severe ME become almost entirely invisible. They are too ill to attend medical appointments, too ill to participate in research, and often too sick for the care and support they need to survive. Most healthcare professionals receive little to no training about ME, leaving patients facing years of delayed diagnosis, misunderstanding, or inappropriate treatment. And for those with the most severe disease, this lack of recognition and support can have devastating and fatal consequences. The systems that are supposed to support and protect disabled people often fail them instead. Disability assessments frequently require travel, prolonged interviews, or repeated demonstrations of function that can trigger severe post-exertional malaise and leave people permanently worse. Home care support is often inadequate or denied altogether. Some patients have been left without enough assistance to eat, wash, use a toilet, or maintain basic hygiene. Others have become malnourished because they could not prepare food or access appropriate nutritional support. The illness can become so profound that even the medical and social care required to keep someone alive becomes difficult or impossible to obtain. Imagine being too ill to travel to a hospital when you are having a medical emergency, or being too ill for a caregiver to spend more than a few moments changing your feeding tube, IV, or bedding. Imagine being so unwell that you cannot even roll over in bed, and not being able to access any kind of specialized home care because you are too ill to prove your level of disability to the state. This is the reality for many people with severe ME, and it kills. The severe ME community loses members every single week. Some have died from complications related to severe ME, including malnutrition, dehydration, organ failure, and other failures of medical and social care, whilst others have sought medical assistance and dying, not because they lack the will to live, but because they are living with an illness that is so unbearable, while the systems that are meant to care for them fail to provide any of the support necessary to survive with any kind of dignity. For today's episode, we spoke to several people surviving with severe and very severe ME. We asked them to answer a couple questions. Some were able to record short voice notes. Others shared written responses, which have been read aloud by volunteers. Today you'll be hearing from Fran, Nevra, Adrienne, Malaika, Nico, Quella, Annika, and Annabelle, a 10-year-old girl surviving with very severe ME. The first question we asked was, what does a typical day with severe ME look like for you?
On a typical day, I'll start with meds and feeds, rest, spend time with a podcast or social media, have a couple snacks, and visit with my caregiver. On good days, I'll do some embroidery instead.
There's no knowing what a typical day with severe ME would be like, but one thing that's always at the forefront or in the background is that I know that I am going to get worse if I don't take my medications, but at the same time, taking the medications also causes me to crash, lifting up water, the water bottle, and if I don't change, for hygienic purposes, whether it's a diaper or my undergarments, I will get an infection as I'm prone to UTI, so that means that I just have to crash just to stay safe so I don't get sepsis. So that's very difficult.
As someone with severe ME, every day starts exactly the same way. I wake up, gather the strength to ring the bell so my mother can bring me fresh water and my pills. If the nausea allows it, I take my pills right away. But sometimes I can't manage it immediately. After that, my mom helps me get ready. Then there's more resting. After about a 2-hour break, I usually manage to have breakfast, still in the dark and lying down, of course. Nausea, dizziness, and pain get worse while I'm eating, so it takes me a long time afterwards to start feeling a little better. Around noon, I manage to watch a movie or send short messages to my friends. Then it's time to gather my strength for lunch. Afterward, I need absolute rest to get through the rest of the day. I keep ringing my mom's bell so she can give me more medication as needed. If I still have enough energy, I eat dinner, and I'm always very glad when the day is finally over. It usually takes until 10 p.m. for my medication to take effect and for me to fall asleep. I wake up several times because of nightmares and pain. My mom sleeps right next to me so she can help me quickly, and I don't have to be alone. Around 9 a.m., a new day begins for me.
A typical day with severe ME consists of strict routines. I alternate between no stimulation rest and light activities like using my phone or more exerting ones like eating, listening to music, or working on my creative projects. Everything happens in my bed and I need around the clock care. That means I don't leave my bed at all.
A typical day with ME looks like waking up and brushing my teeth, taking some meds, and then my mother brings me some food. This usually starts at around 12 or 1 in the afternoon is when I finally eat something. And then I'm already that exhausted that I have to lie down with my eye mask, or always lie down basically, but I don't always have to wear my eye mask. And then I usually do meditation for around 1.5 hours, 2 hours. I often fall asleep during that. I eat my lunch, which my mother brings me. Then I do another meditation for around 2 hours. When I'm lucky, I have around 1 hour where I can listen to an audiobook or watch a short episode of something. And then I eat some dinner, which is brought to me, and then I do another meditation and try to fall asleep, but then I have insomnia and it takes me a while. And it depends on how long it takes me to fall asleep, but sometimes I'll listen to an audiobook in those hours of trying to fall asleep, and then I do it over again.
Our second question was, what has been the most difficult loss or change caused by severe ME?
I think, honestly, for me, it is the loss of a future or the loss of knowing what my future might hold. That is the thing that I find the most terrifying and the hardest to accept, because I have no idea if I'm going to improve enough to exist in the world again, or if this is going to be it for the rest of my life. And we're still in the situation where we do not have treatments or cures. So, I have hope, but at the same time, I have to be realistic that this could be it. And that's what I find hardest every single day.
Most difficult loss caused by ME, severe ME, and for me, very severe ME, is that life just feels so fragile now. It's loss upon loss, really. I also lost my hair, and that's very hard for me because I battled gender violence and I battled for having my hair, being able to have it uncovered. And now that I do, I'm losing it and I've lost it. It's just this constant, ever-present grief, and I don't know how to process it because I don't. Too much emotions, too many spoons.
What I miss most is my life. I would love to be able to look out the window again. Sitting up or even walking would be wonderful. I miss social interaction. Every few weeks, my friend comes to visit for 10 minutes. That's great. But it takes me a very long time to recover from it. I'm just existing now, and I would love to live again.
The most difficult loss is to completely lose your independence. I mean, I'm confined to my bed and I can't do anything on my own. I need someone else to close my curtains, to close my room's door, to bring me water or anything at all. I'm very thankful that my mom is my caregiver, and that makes the situation a bit easier.
Apart from all the physical abilities and independence I have lost, the hardest part has been the abandonment from people who stuck around when I got sick. But as long as I could leave the house to hang out, or at least do fun activities at home, the more bedbound I became, the more people turned their backs.
I think the most difficult loss or change caused by severe ME is my artistic and musical expression. I used to write and paint and play the harp and sing, and in the beginning I felt the loss of physical movement a lot, but once that kind of passed and once everything was taken basically, I realized that the way I see the world and the way I want to express the world, that is what has been taken away, and that is a really big loss.
The most difficult change caused by severe ME is how small my life has become. I miss doing multiple activities a day or leaving my bed without consequence. I want to spend time with my friends and family and work towards a planned goal or future.
Third, what's something people almost always misunderstand about severe ME?
I think what people misunderstand about severe ME or even very severe ME is that no one patient presents clinically or just, visually in the same way as others, and that even in the category of severe ME and very severe ME, there are fluctuations, and I think that's something that I'd like people to understand.
Many people can't even begin to imagine how awful it is for those of us who are most severely affected. They don't realize that lights, sounds, and touch can be far too much for the nervous system, or what it feels like when nothing works the way it's supposed to anymore.
I think what people misunderstand about ME is that people hear someone is bedbound and they imagine this leisurely Sunday day in bed where you can read and can write and maybe do some handicrafts. And for some people that may be possible, but I think for most of us, being bedbound means lying flat and having no capacity for stimulation most of the day. And if we do have communication with people or have any kind of stimulation like an audiobook or watch a short episode, it has a price, and the price is even worse illness. So I think people just misunderstand the concept of being bedbound is not sitting in bed and having fun. It's most of the time it's constant torture.
Severe ME patients are often labeled lucky by the rest of the community because they seem to get more support and better access to resources. But that's not really true. Some individuals are privileged enough to access support and resources without any consequences, but this is not the average experience, and assuming it is puts all ME patients at greater risk of negative health outcomes. Support does not automatically reduce suffering or mortality risk. In some cases, it increases it. The average severe ME patient who relies on caregivers experiences frequent decline and deterioration due to abuse and incompetence, which triggers PEM crashes. This is because the negative bias against ME/CFS patients is a systemic issue in the healthcare system and disability support systems. Intersectionality makes this even worse, and the severe community is overrepresented by people facing multiple forms of marginalization. This makes their risk of experiencing abuse and incompetent care even higher. As someone who was multiply marginalized, I only gained access to off-label medications and home blood tests after enduring profound suffering, medical trauma, and a quality of life that was deemed unlivable. These services reduce some administrative exertion, but they cannot undo the PEM, chronic malnutrition, muscle necrosis, or neurological damage that has stolen my autonomy. That is not lucky. It is a human rights and disability justice issue. It is living death.
People always misunderstand the fact that everything can be exertion when you have severe ME. I mean, even moving your finger too many times can trigger post-exertional malaise. Or you can be so severe that a single thought can trigger it.
That being in bed all day is comfortable or taking a break. It's not. It's horrible. But our bodies are too weak for anything else. We are forced to lay down. And if we are able to sit up or use a toilet chair, there is always a high risk of crashing. We don't have much room left for pushing ourselves, but many of us are forced to do so until we become very severe or worse because of the huge lack of medical, social, and financial care most of us experience.
I think it's the level of suffering that we have to endure day to day. I don't think people always realise that the reason that we can't do anything or leave our beds is because of the high symptom burden that is continuous. It's not just that we, can't physically kind of walk and get up and leave the house, but it's that we are continuously suffering with extremely debilitating symptoms, and we have to find ways to exist like that every single minute.
Our fourth question was, if everyone listening could understand just one thing about severe ME, what would you want it to be?
I think that it would be that we want to, more than anything else in the entire world, leave our beds and our houses, and that we have tried everything and are trying everything in our power to be able to do that, from medications that we're able to access to resting and pacing, but sometimes trying looks like laying in bed, because doing anything other than doing that will make us worse, and that is what we don't want. And our best chance of being able to live a life and get out of bed again can look like being forced to do extremely little, and we hate it, but we have no choice.
I'd want people to understand that everything can be exertion. For example, someone with severe ME might not be able to sit at all. That means they need to be moved around while lying down. It means that, for example, visiting healthcare or doctors is impossible because our society is not meant for people that are so ill. I feel that our society expects people with this level of disability and illness to be dead, which means there are no support systems available.
Quality of life within severe ME is incredibly influenced by disease severity and privilege. I'm fortunate to have supportive parents who care for me. The energy I don't have to expend merely surviving means I can occasionally spare some purely for joy. Not everyone is in that position. Please engage in mutual aid efforts to the extent you can.
That those most severely affected urgently need medical care at home because they are too ill to be treated in the hospital, as their condition would only deteriorate further there.
I wish people understood that while all forms of ME are horrible and disabling, people with severe ME need a very different level of care, and that a lack of care could be fatal and has been for people. Being fully bedbound and sometimes even too unwell to change positions on your own means you need care for a lot more of the small things that many people don't have to think of, like rolling over, grabbing a mug, getting a tissue, opening and closing windows.
I think for able-bodied people to understand severe ME is almost impossible. But I think what is important for people to understand is that it's not a choice. It's not, do I lie in bed all day? It's, how do I lie in bed all day that I don't get even sicker? So what do I have not to do while lying in bed so I don't decline even further and further and further? It's not a choice once you reach severe ME, and it is often presented as if you choose, you gave up, you're lying down, and you just surrendered to the illness. But it's actually one of the most difficult things to do, and it takes extreme perseverance to lie in bed day in and day out and try to continue through the suffering. It's not a choice, it's a choice of survival.
And finally, we asked them to finish the sentence. Severe ME is.
Severe ME is the absence of life.
Severe ME is watching your friends suffer, deteriorate, and die while the world looks away. Severe ME is a disease that feels like it's been fabricated, because how can a disease exist that causes so much suffering but is so neglected? Severe ME is being abandoned, forgotten about, and left to rot.
Severe ME is a perfectly custom built prison that makes you want to fight to keep the things you've lost, but trying to regain any sense of normalcy means that it might be a death sentence. essentially that's what I think severe ME is, and it's very cruel.
Severe ME is like being buried alive and feeling like you're about to die several times a day. My mind wants to do all the wonderful things that are part of life, but my body is completely exhausted by even the smallest tasks, like lifting my head slightly.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for sharing your experiences with us today. It really means a lot. For Fran, Nevra, Adrienne, Malika, Nico, Quella, Annika, and Annabelle, these contributions meant energy that could have been spent elsewhere and was likely lacking in other areas of their lives. Recording a voice note, writing down an answer, or even just thinking about how to answer these questions comes at a real cost for someone living with severe or very severe ME. I am incredibly grateful to everyone who chose to share a piece of their life with us today. People with myalgic encephalomyelitis, and especially those with severe and very severe ME, deserve so much more than awareness. They deserve to be believed. They deserve timely diagnosis, compassionate medical care, adequate support, and proper research that leads to effective treatments. Severe ME is not rare, and it is far more common than other well-known illnesses, while simultaneously being one of the most disabling chronic illnesses. And yet, almost no one has ever heard of it. This is why I would like to ask you all listening today to talk about ME. Uplift the voices you heard today. Share this episode with your friends, family members, work colleagues, your general practitioner. And if you are able and would like to take another step to help, there are other ways you can support the ME community directly. You can donate to MECFS organizations and charities, such as the Open Medicine Foundation, that are working to better understand the disease and develop effective treatments. I'll include some links in the show notes for anyone who would like to support ME research and charities. There is also an urgent need for mutual aid within the severe ME community. Many people living with severe ME are unable to work and struggle to afford essential medications, care, support, equipment, and simply to cover everyday living costs. They rely on regular donations just to meet their basic needs. And one of the people you heard from in this episode, Nevra, is among those who depend on community support. You can find a link to her mutual aid in the show notes if you would like to support her directly. Please engage in mutual aid in any way you can. Thank you so much for listening to this episode today. As always, while our discussions offer medical-related insights, this is not medical advice. Always consult your healthcare team with any of your medical concerns. If you would like to connect with our community, you will find a link to our Discord server in the show notes, along with our Substack and socials. We aim to release episodes monthly, so please subscribe and stay tuned for future episodes. Until next time, this is the COVID Long Haulers podcast signing off. See you on the next one.